Hello there and welcome to this week's 10-day trend. Well, after a wet and very windy weekend, we have seen the weather settle down, but it's been awfully grey and cloudy at times, and it has also felt quite chilly. So is the weather set to change over the next 10 days? Or to start off, we'll take a look at the bigger picture where we can see high pressure dominating, but it's not quite the high pressure we all know and love. It's not brought plenty of sunshine. We've had lots of cloud and moisture trapped under this high, which has meant some chilly and grey days. And just to the north of Northern Ireland is where we see the centre of this high, and this eventually will wiggle its way towards eastern areas, but that means it's going to start to allow some frontal systems moving in from the Atlantic just start to clip their way into the northwest, so starting to bring in a bit more wet weather here. And this is all being driven by what's happening in the west. So we've got a large amplification of the pattern, so a large upper trough, and that's driving a ridge out into the Atlantic. And this is all being driven by some quite cold air taking place over eastern parts of Canada. And this is what's driving that high pressure to the east. And this is going to allow some Atlantic mobility to take place. So we'll see more and more fronts start to clip their way into the northwest. And this is also being driven by quite a strong jet just to the north of the country. And notice most of the country also to the south of this jet, so on the warmer side of the jet, so we will start to see some milder air as we head through Sunday and into Monday. If I just drag our way back to the beginning of the weekend as well, we can see this milder air gradually moving its way as we head into the weekend, as we start to see high pressure located to the south of the UK, but it still means we're on that northern flank of the high, so still some frontal systems moving in, and notice the squeeze in the isobars too, so some wet and windy weather possible as we head into the weekend. Before that though, let's take a look at the details for Thursday. So still quite a grey day ahead, particularly across parts of England and Wales. We might just start to see some brightness develop across parts of Scotland, perhaps at times across northwest Northern Ireland as well. But on the whole, it's going to be another cloudy day. We'll see some rain and drizzle at times, particularly around eastern areas of England, and this will drag its way through into inland areas as well. And the heaviest and most persistent drizzle is likely to be around hilly areas. And where we are going to see a lot of that cloud, those temperatures are really going to struggle. We'll only see highs of around 8 to 10 Celsius in the far southeast, but those temperatures struggling across parts of Scotland as we head through into Thursday. And then on Friday, it's almost a rinse and repeat. Once again, plenty of cloud across the country, rain and drizzle. Perhaps this rain and drizzle a bit more widespread as we head into Friday as well. And we're likely to see some longer spells of rain just to the northwest of Scotland just start to creep their way through too. It is going to be clearer to the north of this though, but still plenty of showers starting to move their way through as well. So once again, another cloudy day. We may see some brighter spells at times. Once again, Northern Ireland, Scotland, just to the lee of high ground, we might see some brighter weather, but on the whole it's still going to be quite a cloudy day, and those temperatures still really struggling. Highs of around 7 to 8 Celsius across England and Wales, once again struggling across Scotland, highs of around 4 to 5 Celsius. So fairly similar days, but perhaps just seeing a bit more rain and drizzle as we head into the end of the week. Then as we start off into the weekend, we are going to see those frontal systems start to move their way into the northwest, at times being dragged across the country, but generally weakening features, so more just bringing in some clouds, some light outbreaks of rain and drizzle. And then notice the squeeze in the isobars too, particularly to the far north of Scotland. And this is where we're likely to see the strongest gusts later Saturday through into Sunday, as we can see by these pink colours here, just generally dominating the far north of Scotland. So we could see some gales, if not perhaps some severe gales at times as we head through into Saturday, later Saturday and through into Sunday. So we could see gusts of around 60 miles per hour as we head into the weekend. But even elsewhere, look at the squeeze in the isobars. It's going to be a very breezy day as we head into the weekend, but particularly northern parts of Scotland. Now, not only is it going to be a windy weekend, it's also going to be fairly wet in places, particularly just to the northwest of Scotland, where we're likely to see the bulk of that rain as those frontal systems move their way into the northwest. So this is 48-hour rainfall totals from our Met Office model that we use here at the Met Office. So just to the northwest of Scotland, we can see this is highlighting the highest kind of rainfall totals that we're likely to see, but it's also picking up areas of Wales, western parts of England, parts of of Cumbria, for example, that could see rainfall totals start to shoot up by the time we get into the new working week. And this is significant as we have had quite a lot of rainfall here over the last week or so. And similarly, across our European model, this picks out once again the northwest of Scotland, seeing the highest totals, and our American model too, also focusing on the northwest of Scotland. So it's likely this is where we'll see the bulk of the rain, but we may also see some rainfall totals totting up in the far west of the country as well. So it is going to be wet at times over the weekend. It's also going to be windy, particularly to the far northwest. Elsewhere, once again, fairly grey, perhaps seeing a few more brighter spells for the first part of the weekend, particularly around eastern coasts of England, though we might just see a few showers creep into coastal areas at times. Still fairly cloudy in the west. Once again, some rain and drizzle mainly across hills, and then those longer spells of rain just starting to clip into northwest of Scotland, western parts of Northern Ireland too, and that's where later on we'll start to see those winds pick up too. And temperatures still once again round about average, still struggling under mostly cloudy skies, highs of around 7 to 8 Celsius. Now through into Sunday, that's when we start to see that milder air creep in, but with milder air we once again get lots of cloud and lots of moisture, once again particularly in western areas where we're likely to see the bulk of that rain and drizzle, mainly across hills. Fairly dry across parts of the east, southeast, but still you can see a fairly grey and cloudy picture. And then we've got those longer spells of rain just clipping the far north of Scotland, and this could turn quite heavy and persistent at times, and obviously with those blustery winds under those cloudier skies. Now, as I say, it is dragging in some milder air, so we'll see a slight creep up of those temperatures, highs between 10 to 11 Celsius. So it's not going to feel quite as chilly as previously in the week or on Saturday, but it's still quite a grey and cloudy picture to come for the second half of the weekend. So just a bit more information on the temperatures then. As I say, these are temperature anomalies for maximum temperatures during the day. So Saturday we can see mostly milder air, generally confined to the far northwest of Scotland and western parts of Northern Ireland. But by the time we reach Sunday, we can see much of that milder air creeping in around a lot of the country. So a much milder day as we head into Sunday, and once again fairly similar on Monday with the mildest of the temperatures in far eastern areas at that time. And it's not just daytime temperatures either, it's also overnight temperatures, particularly on Saturday night and also Sunday night. So it's going to be fairly mild overnight too, which is quite a change after the chilly nights that we've had this week. So as we head into Monday, it's going to be a much milder start. But in terms of weather, Monday looks fairly similar to Sunday, quite grey with some rain and drizzle at times. And then as we head through into the middle part of the week, it's all eyes over this area of low pressure which is developing out into the Atlantic. Now this area of low pressure actually starts off at quite a southerly altitude, quite close to the Canary Islands, and it eventually moves its way northwards, gets dragged up by the jet stream. It may also merge with other areas of low pressure developing out into the Atlantic as well. And this will eventually move its way northeastwards towards the UK. So by the time we reach the middle part of the week, we're likely to see further spells of wet and windy weather. Before that, though, we're likely to see a slight ridge of high pressure as we head into Tuesday, so largely settled once again, but there still could be a fair amount of cloud around, still those longer spells of rain just starting to clip into the far northwest. And then as we head into Monday, we'll see more of those frontal systems drag their way further eastwards across the country, and still starting to see a good squeeze in those eyes of ours too, so starting to turn quite wet and windy by the time we reach Wednesday. And then for the rest of the week, it remains fairly similar. Now it is going to stay mild, if not rather mild at times, but we're likely to see outbreaks of rain move their way in from the west, and it's likely to remain fairly windy too. So a fairly settled start to the period, but it's going to be largely grey, a few brighter spells at times, and then we're likely to see a change to more unsettled conditions as we head into the end of next week. That's it from me. Don't forget, for daily updates on our weather, to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Otherwise, I hope you have a good week. Bye for now.